You know that feeling, right? Where you're putting in more hours studying than anyone you know, but your grades just don't seem to reflect that effort? Well, today, we're diving into a really cool personal experiment from a student who put the old way of studying head to head against a brand new approach using AI. And trust me, the results might just change how you think about your next exam. So, this is where it all started. This quote is from Kashish Madan, a Dean's List accounting student. I mean, this guy was doing everything right, or so he thought. He was a great student, but he just knew something wasn't adding up between the insane effort he was putting in and the results he was getting back. It's a feeling I think we can all relate to. So instead of just getting frustrated, he decided to turn it into an experiment. He wanted to answer that one big question: why doesn't studying harder always mean studying smarter? And, could AI actually be the solution? Now, the setup for this experiment was just brilliant in its simplicity. For his first midterm, he went completely old school. We're talking textbooks, flashcards, highlighting, the works. Absolutely zero AI allowed. Then, for the second midterm, in the exact same course, he flipped the script entirely and used a bunch of free AI tools like Claude and ChatGPT. So first up, let's take a closer look at the before picture. This is the traditional way of studying that we all know so well. Just look at this schedule. It is an absolute grind. Day 1, 3.5 hours just rereading slides. Day 3, 4 hours just slogging through a textbook. He even said he spent hours making these beautiful notes that, guess what, he never even looked at again. It all adds up to an exhausting 18 hours over 6 days. So why was this so incredibly inefficient? Well, it really boiled down to a total lack of focus, and this is the big one, a lack of feedback. Think about it. Rereading a chapter doesn't tell you what you don't understand. It just confirms that you've read it. He was basically studying by feeling, not by data. And after all that work, what did he get for midterm 1? A 74%. Yeah, it's a passing grade, sure, but for a Dean's List student who just poured 18 hours of his life into this, it was pretty disappointing. And this was the moment he knew he needed a totally new system. All right, so for that second midterm, he completely threw out the old playbook. He started using a few simple AI tools, and it absolutely transformed his entire study process. So this was his first big move, what he called the concept explainer. He gave this exact prompt to an AI. So instead of trudging through 50 pages to find the main ideas, he just asked the AI to boil it all down for him. He's literally asking it to cut through all the noise and just give him the must-know stuff. But this next prompt, this was the real game changer. He called it the gap finder. And notice the shift here. He's not just asking for answers anymore. He's asking the AI to test him, to find his blind spots. He's actively hunting for what he doesn't know, which is something that's almost impossible to do with traditional studying. And right here, this is probably the single most powerful comparison in the entire experiment. All those hours of passively rereading never once told him where he was weak, but the AI, using that gap finder prompt, it found his weak spots in 2 minutes. That is just a massive, massive leap in efficiency.
Now, this is a really important point. He wasn't using AI to cheat or to get easy answers. He was using it as a tool to help him think more clearly about what he already knew. The AI wasn't doing the learning for him. It was helping him learn faster and with way more focus.
Okay, so we've seen the 2 very different ways he studied. One was this long, inefficient grind. The other was a shorter, super focused, data-driven approach. But what did that actually mean for the results? Let's get to the good part and look at the numbers. First up, the time. The old way took him 18 hours. The new way, with AI, just 9. He literally cut his study time in half. Half! And he felt more prepared. Next, let's talk about stress. He rated his stress for the first midterm an 8 out of 10. That classic Sunday night panic. For the second one, it was a calm, cool 4 out of 10. Because he knew exactly what he knew and he knew what he needed to work on. There was no need to panic. And here it is, the ultimate payoff. Half the hours and half the stress led to a 14-point jump in his grade, bringing him up to an 88%. This is just incredible proof that the new method wasn't just faster, it was way, way more effective. So here's the whole story, side by side. Hours cut in half, stress cut in half, and the grade skyrockets by 14 points. And hey, notice the cost? Both methods were totally free. The only thing that changed was the approach.
Okay, so the obvious question is, this is amazing, but how can you actually do this? Well, Kashish boiled his whole system down to 3 specific prompts that you can literally copy and paste. First up is the concept explainer. You use this to slice right through those dense textbook chapters or long lectures. The secret sauce here is asking for maximum 3 bullet points. It forces the AI to give you only the most important stuff for your exam, no fluff. Second is the practice question machine. We've all been there, right? You run out of past exam papers to practice with. Well, this prompt turns ChatGPT into an endless supply of practice questions tailored to your course and even scaled from easy to hard so you can build your confidence up. And finally, we've got the most powerful tool of the bunch, the Gap Finder. This is the prompt that completely flips studying on its head. Instead of just reviewing things you probably already know, you are actively asking to be shown where you're weak. Finding and fixing those gaps, that is the fastest way to a better grade.
When you really get down to it, this is all about changing how we think about these AI tools. The goal isn't to get the AI to write your essay or do your homework. The goal is to use it as a thinking partner, a tool that helps you question your own understanding, find your blind spots, and practice with real purpose. And really, this whole experiment leaves us with one last really powerful question to think about. After seeing these results, more learning in less time with less stress, it just makes you wonder, what if the key to better grades was never about studying harder, but was always about studying smarter?